One of the most useful blocks with Gutenberg is the columns block. It gives us the ability to lay out our pages. We don't have to stack blocks one on top of the other. We can place them side by side with the columns block. Columns block is a little more complicated than the really basic blocks like paragraph and heading and image and cover block, but let's get to it. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what I did here and then actually build a columns block layout. So let's have a look at something called the list view. This will give us a really good understanding of how the page was put together. It's right over here, the list view. And what this does is it gives us a look at how the blocks relate to each other. And we'll see that, for example, we have a block called columns block. If I highlight it, you'll see that there's a border that goes around the whole block itself. And then if I just click on a block inside of, in other words, the column block, and it's important to understand the difference between columns block and column. And here it is. A column is just a single column. In this case, containing three other blocks. One is a heading block, and then an image block right over here. And you can see that the outline. And then over here, paragraph. And the same thing holds true. It just repeats itself over here. The column, and then we have heading, image, paragraph, and then another paragraph that we don't need. So that's fine. Okay, so let's see how to do this. It's very important when you're working with a block like this and you're starting to get more involved in complex layout is to use this list view tool. This will give you a really good understanding of where you are in your page and how you can edit it. So I have a blank page here and I'm going to build a 2-column layout and go over what's involved in this. And for that, to get started, I'm just going to use my slash over here and just type in column or just there you go, columns. All right. And I get prompted to choose my layout. Now I can change all this later on, but right now I'm going to go for this. So you can see now I have essentially 2 columns and I have a placeholder where I'm going to be able to put content in. So let's do that. I'm just going to click on that plus and use a heading, and I'm just going to type in the fancy words subhead over here. After that, I want to put in an image. And I'm just going to go to my media library, and let's choose this image over here. And then last, underneath the image, I want to input in a paragraph. So I can click this over here if I want, and just type in, or in this case, Command V, paste in my lorem text. So that's 1 column. Now, I'll get to that in a second, show you a little bit how this works in detail, but right now I have 1 column. And I'm going to put content over here. And rather than just start from scratch, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go inside of this block, the heading block, and I'm going to duplicate that block. And I'm going to drag it by just grabbing onto this little piece of the toolbar and drop it into place. And I'm going to do the same thing with the image. I'm going to duplicate the image and drag this over into place underneath the subhead. Okay. And I'm just going to Command V and copy paste into the paragraph block. That's fine. Now I don't want this image. I want to replace this image. So I'm just going to click anywhere within the image and I get the image toolbar and I am going to click on replace. We'll go into the media library and I'm going to choose this image. Okay. And that's fine. And I'm not really crazy about this image over here, but that's all right. This is for our demonstration purposes. Now, let's just go over here and look at that list view, okay? And this gives us the outline, the structure of our document. Very important that we understand how the blocks fit into, in some cases, each other. So let's look at the, right over here, the columns block, which is where I started with. And you can see there's an outline that goes all the way around it. So you can see that inside there's content contained within it. And so the columns block is a container. just like the column block is a container. In this case, I clicked on that and you can just see, oh, it's this block over here with these three blocks contained within the heading, the image, and the paragraph. And same thing over here on the right side. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. Now let's take a look at a little bit more in detail the columns block. Right over here, it's a toolbar over here. Let's get this out of the way. And we have some controls over here, like width and, in this case, like wide width. Well, I don't really want that. So I'm going to go back over here. And then we have some options here about aligning to the top and the middle and the bottom, which I'm not going to play around with, but some controls for the overall columns block. Also, if we go over here to the settings for the columns block, you'll see right over here, well, it says no block selected. So that's a little bit of a problem. Let's see if we can find that columns block. We can go over here to the list view. Perfect. And now you can see columns block. And they give us this color option. So if I want, for example, to put a background color, well, perfect. You can see the columns block very well here. I also want to change the text color so it shows up. Now I know it's not showing up over here for the heading block. And we'll get to that in 1 second. One other thing I could do is I could add to the number of columns. So there's definitely the ability to do that right over here. If you want more columns, you could add it right over here. I'm not going to do that, but you can see that's the way to do it. I think you can go up to 6 columns. I don't think you'd ever even want to go to 6 columns, but you can do that. Now I'm going to fix this up over here. So for the heading block, I'm going to just choose my color, and we'll just choose the same option over here. And same thing with this over here. And I'm going to change the color over here so it matches. Okay, that's fine. Well, that's pretty much an overview of the columns block. It's sort of the box or the container that holds everything together. And then within the columns block, in this case, I have 2 column blocks. So let's just take a look at that. So here is the column. Again, here's one column and here's the other column. And you can see there's an outline all the way around it. So now I'm in the column block, the left column in this case, and I can make some changes. For example, let's say I want to put a background color just for show. Oh, now I get it, okay? But not only that, take a look at this. This is really important. I'm going to get this out of the way for a second. So this toolbar is a little bit different because you have your tools, but off to the left you have this right over here. It's what people call, or what you can call, the parent block or the containing block, and that is the columns block. So I clicked on that and it took me to the columns block. But I don't want to work in the columns block. I want to work in the column block. So I click on this and it shows me, well, what it shows me is I'm in my heading block, which is in the column block. Again, if I get a little confused, the best way to look at this is right over here, the heading block inside the column block, inside the columns block. But I just want to be inside of here. So fine. So again, I can see I've got this block over here, and then this is the actual block or toolbar for the column block. What can I do with that? Well, not all that much, really. I could switch the order of the column. Okay, I can do that, fine. If I go over here to the settings, well, you know I can change the color. I did that already. If I change the background color, and if I wanted to change the text color, and of course I'd have to go back over here to the heading itself, and I could change the right over, well, we could just do that. That's fine. Okay, and you get your regular toolbar for heading, but it just tells you it's within the column itself or the column block. Again, nice to have the list view out here because it really helps you navigate and understand how the layout is being put together with the different blocks. So one other thing I want to show you, and that is, you know, there doesn't seem to be any margin or padding anyway around this. It looks awfully tight, doesn't it? So the mind's going to say, hey, I want to have a little space over here. Well, this is dependent on your theme. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to change the theme. So the theme I'm using now is Generate Press, very popular theme. So what I'm going to do is update this. I'm going to go over here. Let's change the theme, appearance, to a WordPress stock theme known as 2021. And we'll go over to posts and we'll go over here. And you'll see it's going to look different because I changed the theme. But what I want to show you is this theme supports the idea that when you are working with a column, let's just do that. This first column in particular, not only can you change the color, but you can also change spacing. So I'm going to put in, let's say, 20 pixels. And I'm going to apply that number right over here. And you can see, oh, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? So the mind says, yeah, that looks better. What about Generate Press? Will it have this feature? I think eventually in the very near future, and maybe by the time you're looking at this, it will. So that's an overview of the columns block. It's important to remember, let's just look at this one last time, that you can see how blocks can contain other blocks. And you can just see the outline over here. It's nice and easy to roll over, and you can see how things are nicely laid out and easy to follow when you navigate and use columns for your design.